How can this Chinese medium tank manage to do nearly more damage than the entire team combined when it's apparently a bad tank? Well, it's because this tank is an absolute secret gem that is very strong when you learn how to play it, so take a look at these games to find out how. We're looking at a replay on Corellia where we're going to see the T-34-3 manage to absolutely dominate, managing to attempt to take out the little wheeled vehicle, our friend in the FSV SCH, and of course managing to finish him off, which gets out one of the most annoying vehicles in this kind of area, as well as spotting the Barask, who hopefully he'll be able to take out. Now you'll see that our player here is actually loading a few of these standard rounds, and that's because they're not absolutely garbage. He's using the standard rounds to be able to deal with these lightly armored vehicles. However, they aren't amazing in terms of pen because they only have 196 as standard, whereas the heat rounds are awkwardly, annoyingly heat rounds that only have 250 pen. So they're in that region where you can find yourself coming up against tanks that are just a little bit annoying to try and pen. So combine that with the fact that the accuracy is not the best, it can make these tanks feel a little bit annoying, and it's probably why most people struggle to play these tanks correctly. Now then, the great thing about being able to get into a position like this is that because he's taken out both the dangerous tanks that can spot him, is that he can really play the game how he wants to. He's got lots of opportunity to get shots into various areas of the map, and when you get a tank like this that has the alpha that it does and competes with a lot of the heavy tanks at tier 8, then it's really powerful because you get the decent DPM when it comes to having this caliber of gun, even if it isn't as good as some of the medium tanks will have. When you start running it with all of the equipment that you can put in, like rammer, etc., you're going to be able to boost that DPM up slightly to make it more manageable. And you're seeing here he's able to hit a lot of these opponents. The Kari, for example, for twice for nearly 800 damage combined, which is really nice in those two shots. And this is what the Chinese mediums offer. They have that high alpha damage slash kind of risk of missing your shots, but when you do hit, they are absolutely amazing to play, which is why I wanted to showcase this tank, because it is really powerful. It's just a lot of people tend to like the easier tanks to play, and unfortunately this does take a little bit of skill, but it is really good when you can get it working. Now of course you're seeing some very aggressive gameplay, being able to push through the middle, and with a little bit of team support acting in the southwestern side of the map, he should be able to deal with this Tiger P, who's about to find himself in a world of pain. And there you go, one into the back of the Tiger P. Now given that the fact that this tank does have very nice HE rounds that instead of dealing 390 alpha as the standard rounds do, they deal 530 damage. And we're going to see that throughout the replays in today's video, because of the fact that you have these HE rounds with 530 alpha, you can really outtrade some of those tank destroyers that you're going to be meeting where they can't actually deal more damage than you. Things like SU-130PMs, Scorpion Gs, all of the paper tanks, Waffle Panzer IVs, they will dread coming up against this tank if the player knows what they're doing and they've got intuition to swap between the rounds. And when you're in a brawling mentality like this, where you stay forward and are spotting for the team, dealing damage and maintaining a good distance, sniping in these vehicles does not work. And so yeah, you have to make use of the kind of mobility that these tanks get. 56 kilometers an hour top speed, which is really nice to be honest with you, and gets you into a position like this quite easily. And now from this point, it's all a case of just farming up the amount of as many of the opponents who are going to give themselves up. And yeah, one misses the Tiger 1, which is unfortunate, but you know, you can't hit everything. It's World of Tanks RNG is not a favorite within most of the games, but either way, 4,500 damage with 1,400 assistance so far, carrying this game pretty hard. Now he gets into a nice little area. One thing that you'll note is that he does actually prop himself up against that rock when he tries to poke, but for some unbeknownst reason the VK301 is obviously triggered that he's been hit earlier and decides that he's going to throw himself away. It's a common theme when you're playing this tank, because for some reason when you get hit for 390, people just seem to lose their crap and decide to YOLO you, and of course in doing that they've lost the rest of their hit points. Very nice play indeed. But either way, this is just an exceptional round so far, and given that it's been what, like 5.5 minutes so far on this assault game mode, in which it's very difficult to actually win this map, when it comes to pushing from the side that he spawned on, and you do need an aggressive player like this. Yeah, it's rather good. And there you go, a nice little round into the back of the Cromwell, easy as you like. Heat rounds are unfortunately the only rounds in this at the moment, and there you go, a Tiger 1 into the back of him, another 400 damage. These rolls are absolutely crazy. And now we have an OI who's sat there pre-aiming, but unfortunately for him, the gun depression is finding him a little bit in pain. And so, yeah, this is just the position you want to be in. The OI can't really do much against you. You're sat there farming him in the backside. He's got to pull all the way around, exposing himself to the rest of the team, and bye-bye, Mr. OI. It's time for another game, I think. And unfortunately, there are a lot of tier 6s in this game, but we have a tier 9 game coming up. But I really wanted to show you this because you can play in some of the more mediocre tanks in World of Tanks, and they can be very, very strong. You just have to know what you're doing. They're not as easy to play, and you typically don't see them on YouTube that much. But when you can play some of these tanks and you can see the results like this, they obviously do work. And at the end of the day, it's all about enjoyment. If you enjoy playing tanks like this, then yeah, you can really have a ton of fun. And especially it feels nice when you deal as much damage as you're seeing here, 7.2k damage. Yeah, it's so much more rewarding than jumping in the BZ176 and dealing 5k every game. And this one is just, yeah, a crazy, crazy tank that I really think is super underrated and can definitely be played well, as you've seen there. And if you thought that the previous game was a difficult one to overcome, well, this one is even harder. This is a tier 9 matchup where you have to rely on being able to deal damage throughout the entire game. It's not going to be as easy of a breeze as you saw with the last one, and it's definitely going to be a long one. So stay tuned because this one's very, very interesting. And if you've enjoyed the video so far, please do consider liking the video, as it massively helps me out and it will do me a massive favour. So yeah, thank you. Either way, let's get into how he manages to pull off a game that he does, and even if it doesn't go all too well at the end, he's still going to have a crazy result. But don't worry, because it's not what you think at the end. Now then, obviously the limit of this tank is the 5 degrees of gun depression. It does become a bit of a factor, especially when playing on a map like this. Sand River does not have the best amount of kind of cover and positions for a tank with 5 degrees of gun depression to use effectively when you're playing as a medium. And when you don't have the most insane accuracy, sniping with this tank just is not an option, and so you have to be within a close range, and so that's exactly what he does. The one tank that is a bit of a pain is the BZ, and you can see here this is the impact of the gun depression. The BZ is not going to be able to hit him, goes for a little bit of a quick fire on him. The reason why he did that is because he doesn't want to stay out in the open on top of a ridge where all of the enemy team who are going to be located in the spawn are going to be able to hit him. So instead of that, he does put himself in this little spot, and hopefully he's going to be able to deal with this BZ, because once the BZ's out of this game, he's going to be able to do some work. And here you go, one into the side of the BZ. BZ fluffs his shot, allowing him to now reload fully and get another one into the BZ before he can be able to come over. And oh gosh, it's a triggered BZ. Typical player on World of Tanks, deciding that after taking one hit, he's going to throw away the rest of his hit points to try and deal some damage to the T-34-3. And unfortunately for him, it isn't going to work. And there you go, another shell into the side of the turret means that he is on a one shot for basically everyone in the game, and that is perfect. And you do still have to be a little bit careful against the BZ, because on 700 and, you know, a little bit of hit points, you can be one shot by the BZ, because that was definitely a balanced introduction. Luckily this year's loot box is not so bad, but completely different topic for today. Either way, with 2.4k damage done in about 4 minutes, it is not the best result possible. It's certainly not like we saw with the previous game, but the whole point about this one is that we're going to see it develop over time. In this sort of game, you have to be very careful where you're peaking and when you're peaking, because although you might have, you know, a decent amount of damage, potential to deal every single shot, if you don't survive the end of the battle, then you're not going to be able to make use of it. And what you're seeing our player here do is decide to kind of push this northeast or northwestern side of the map from the northeast and get into this sort of location. Now what he can do here is potentially spot some of the opponents. Now he doesn't have maximum view range in this vehicle, which is a little bit of a pain when it comes to digging out some of the TDs and some of the camoed tanks like the Waffle Panzer IV, and so he knows this in his own gameplay that he needs to stay a little bit careful when he's trying to move over to this area, and so he's staying in this sort of location. It's one of the few locations where you're able to get consistent damage, and he's waiting for the team to help him out by spotting these opponents, and there you go, a free shot into the T-34, which is nice, or T-43 even. And what from here, this is the spot. This is where you can actually use gun depression if you don't particularly have much. And although this is open to kind of the area down here, there isn't very many opponents in that location. And so from here, he needs to decide what he wants to do. And so rather than waiting around for the enemy team to kind of push him, he decides to go back to base to try and help out his team. And when you're in a tank like this, in a medium that doesn't particularly have the best damage per minute out of all of the mediums in the game, he's got to ensure that he has a little bit of team support to help you out when you are in those situations where you can't one-shot something or you can't hide behind cover. And sometimes on a map like this, that can happen quite often. So when he's in that situation, he's going to help out his team, and they're going to hopefully help out him. And here you go. Can he get a shot into the side of the T-29? No, there you go. Of course it won't. Then we have a little movement back to his base. Now from that location up there, it's very powerful to actually avoid anyone from coming from here, as well as hitting anyone that might be coming into the base, and it's a very, very nice spot. So what he does here is, rather than going further over into the middle where you can get hit by the Waffle and also spotted by the Waffle, he remains outside of the maximum view range of the tank so that he can remain undetected, and instead goes to support the Ho-Ri 2, who's on his own over here except from a couple of artillery. And when you have only a couple of friends left in the game, then you have to make sure that you are going to support them in whatever way you can if you have a chance at actually being able to win. And given that there's only 6 minutes left in the battle, you're going to have to start churning out a lot of damage, because 5.8k damage left in the game, and there's what, only 1,800 DPM on this tank when you don't have any equipment. So looking at probably about 2,300 with equipment. And so yeah, you're going to have to consistently be firing for about 2.5 minutes if you want to be able to win this game on your own. Of course, that's with no team support whatsoever. And uh-oh, here we go. Another YOLOing tank that's been hit twice and triggered, and so decides to throw himself away. There's a surprise. Either way, he's gone, and we don't have to worry about him. On his way and approach towards the sand dunes, he manages to find himself a Ri, who's in a little bit of a terrible spot, considering that the Ho-Ri's with him and he's going to be able to come up from behind. They both have to work in tandem here if they want to take this guy out, as he is on full health, and yeah, the artillery doesn't manage to deal a whole lot of damage. And here you go. Ri is of course looking towards the Ho-Ri. Ho-Ri is coming in. He is a one-shot though, so I wouldn't necessarily have pushed if I was the Ho-Ri, because you know you're going to get taken out, you can't deal any more damage, and you certainly can't help out your teammate if you're dead. So you don't want that in the game. Instead, what you're seeing here is now he's going to make use of his teammate here by making sure that he kind of comes over and tries to get into a position to kind of bounce these rounds. Now you're seeing an excellent play here. Now rather than kind of coming all the way over the ridge, what he does is he gets to this location, which means that he's holed down. And that is amazing, because the opponent is not going to be able to hit him other than in the turret. And considering that he's above the Ri, what the Ri has to do is shoot up into the cupolas. And considering that he's shooting up into the cupolas, he is going to find it a big struggle to do that because of the angle and reducing that angle of being able to hit the cupola. So it's less visible. And there you go, a lovely work from the S51 to finish off the Ri without having to risk taking another shot, allowing him to now be a little bit more flexible and use the hit points that he has left to hopefully be able to win this game. With just 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, the Waffle Panzer IV comes in and takes out his friend in the S51, meaning that he is now alone against 4 people. And when you are alone against 4 people with just 2 minutes on the clock and with 2,800 hit points to try and tear through, alongside a Leopard PTA who's somewhere in the game that you literally have no idea where he's going to be and appears to be on full health, it's going to be a tough ass to work. Now he loads of HE round here to deal with the Waffle Panzer IV, and of course the Waffle Panzer IV manages to hit on the move into the tank and pen, and of course deal 700 damage with the 15. Yay, brilliant. Leaving him now on a one shot, and it is not looking too good. 5.8k damage done though, and is he going to be able to find out where the rest of the tanks are to be able to secure the win? And when you consider that most Chinese tanks are a little bit of a pain to play sometimes when it comes to using their gun depression, it's all about that positioning, and positioning in this game has been superb. Just making sure he's in the right place at the right time, coming away with the results that we've been seeing. And you've seen it in the first clips. It's just a crazy tank that I think people just underestimate because, you know, it doesn't have the best accuracy and takes a little bit of getting used to. But when you do, like this player who's got 3 marks in it, it can work really well. And you've seen lots and lots of different tanks throughout World of Tanks, and if you start playing some of the more intricate and novel tanks that don't necessarily follow the meta, it can be much more rewarding, much more enjoyable, and hence why I like showcasing them on the channel, and why I like playing those sorts of tanks, because it's nowhere near as fun as playing some of the broken ones that you see in the game. And if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, because it's always interesting to see what you think. Do you hate playing tanks that are just not particularly insane or broken or aren't necessarily the meta, or do you find it more useful or kind of enjoyable to play those sorts of tanks? Now, of course, with the Leopard PTA on 1,300 hit points AFK in the base, it is not looking like he's ever going to be able to win this one with only 5 seconds left. It would have to be an absolute miracle, and in fact impossible for him to win, and unfortunately ends up on 6.3k damage, although he would have been able to take out the Leopard and possibly take out the FE if he had that extra time, but unfortunately didn't in this game. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, and if you want to see another one that's just as insane, looking at another Chinese tier 10 vehicle, then have a look at this one on screen, and I'll see you there. Goodbye.